Hello, everybody. Welcome back to What the Flick, looking at Netflix's Sense8. Joining us this week is the lovely Kim Horcher. Also, of course, Francis Maxwell, William Bibbiani. I'm Alonso Duralde. Episode 2, I Am Also a We, which is, of course, the appearance of Joey Pants, which every Wachowski project really needs some Joe Pantoliano
Joey
in
Pants looking like my dad. It freaked me out. Like with the beard, it looks just like my dad. It freaked me out.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, so much to unpack here. We talked about the pilot last week. Kim, are you down for this? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, where are we standing?
I'm actually enjoying it more than I thought I would. I think the plotting is very slow, or the pace rather. But it's not as bad as other Wachowski projects in terms of slowness and not really introducing the exposition. I am picking it up as I go, which I sort of enjoy. And I think it works better for a long-form show. I like the characters more than I thought I would. I have favorite characters now, which is surprising to me.
Such as?
I like Sun.
Okay,
I like Van Damme.
Yeah.
And I like Lito's boyfriend.
His boyfriend is a
Lito's
badass.
boyfriend.
Yes.
He's great, and
That
he can cook.
whole plot really kicked in this episode, where it's like we found out, like, so why would he turn down sex with a hot nun? And I'm like, oh, that's why. I'm still not sure I turned it down, but okay, fine. Turns out he's gay, and that his beard is totally into it.
Yeah.
She loves
A
it.
lot.
A little too into it.
But
yeah.
that's what I love about this episode. Like, starts becoming like, it's just like two competing genres in this episode are this, like, just this sex farce and a Bollywood musical.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Oh.
That's a great combo.
And someone trapped in a hospital against their will.
And,
you
like,
know.
no, that's what's, I'm really starting to enjoy that.
And which, weirdly enough, then, of course, the Mexican actor is on a soap, when that's a total soap kind of plot line.
Oh, yeah.
But again, these are the people who plucked who chucked the, wacky old guy escaping from the rest home in the middle of Cloud Atlas.
Oh, yeah.
So they're all about the mix
in
and
all
match.
fairness, I think the original novel did that, but
Well,
yeah,
still,
they didn't shy away from it. Yeah. No, they're not afraid of it at all. And I think it's this sort of fascinating contrast where every character, they're in a different movie, they're a different archetype. I'm not arguing that. But it always keeps it really fresh, and it always gives them an opportunity to juxtapose unusual concepts that would never go together.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, we talk about Cloud Atlas. This is very Cloud Atlas, but I liked Cloud Atlas, and I'm liking this too.
I'm going to be the prophet of doom on the end. I'm not. So I talked about in the first episode that I appreciated the Wachowskis and how they build that pace. They don't have to come out from the block straight away and get you intrigued in it, but they can build it, and the premise alone was enough to get me intrigued in the show with everyone all across the world, every different sense. But when it comes to this second episode, I need some form of context about how this originated. There's still nothing. There's still no real form of how this has happened. I understand it is an imaginative premise and we need to be coming into this with an open mind, but you still need to at least give me, rather than just having these flashbacks to the lady who's just standing in the middle of every single scene with one shoe on, by the way, which I don't understand.
Which what?
She wears one shoe. If you look at it really close,
She's the tall blonde
there's a
woman
tall
with
blonde
one
woman
red
with
shoe.
one shoe. That was strange.
Okay,
Cinderella, no.
I'm going to totally disagree with you, because I think yes, they haven't walked us through the whole thing yet, but you do have that scene in the bodega between Naveen Andrews and Chicago Cop, where he's starting to sort of clue him in on what's going on and how this works. We don't know all the mechanics. We don't know the origin of this stuff. Frankly, I'm so fucking sick of origin stories. I'm perfectly happy with here's this crazy thing and here's a hint at how it might work, and I get to the origin later, get to it never, I don't care.
I think I'm split between you two, because I am enjoying putting the pieces together myself. I don't like being spoon-fed.
Sure.
I've had it enough. But it is rather slow. This whole episode, we're talking about these three very different concepts, and I'm thinking, what is tying them together? This is fun, but what's the point at this?
Well, what's the point of life?
Maybe that's
mean,
like.
The point is, it's 13 episodes.
feel
I gotta
like-
have time,
I think my point is, when I say that, I'm just like, the whole point is we're being introduced to all these different worlds, and they're all valid. And I think it's interesting that some people are focusing really heavily on the overarching story of the show and not on the characters, because I think that's what they're trying to accomplish here, is they're trying to give all the characters an opportunity to live their lives to some extent before the plot kicks in, and it does eventually. so that we understand them, so that we get to know them, so that it kind of matters that the world goes insane, because oftentimes in a movie you have to move so quickly, or even in a TV show where you have to establish a premise so quickly that there's no sense of normality before things get eccentric or unusual or high concept. And I'm enjoying that because they're all interesting and fun characters.
And I think there's a certain grace in how they are kind of weaving through, and we'll get to this more in future episodes, where conversations will cut from India to Africa to Chicago and all have a certain relevance, that they're all kind of dealing with the same issues, whether it's about medicine or about, commerce or whatever.
Everyone in the world, different points of view, different perspectives, different walks of life, they're valid equally.
I think the larger sense of this show, in the same way that The Americans is a spy show, but really it's about the immigrant experience and about what do people who come to this country want for their children. Do they want them to sort of continue in the old ways or strike out in a new way in America? I think this show is about interconnectivity. And so, yeah, it's about psychics and about like evil government guys trying to shut them down and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately it's about we all share this planet and we all face, a potential doom together. We all, can fix each other's lives or we can destroy them. So I kind of feel like all of this is more about, they're getting to the heart of the story, but really it's more of a metaphor for the larger issues. And I find the larger issues so interesting that I'm not going to get hung up on the minutiae.
Yeah, but I'm taking it, and I'm taking it episode by episode. So this is what my frame of mind is at episode 2.
Right.
And so episode 2, I'm coming in, and first of all, the Pride speech was awesome. That was one of my favorite parts of it. I mean, it's something that should
I skip Pride every year, and I thought about not skipping it this year because of that speech.
And it was a great speech, but this is what I'm talking about. So you're very intellectually inclined, and you love this open idea of a show that basically breaks boundaries. So was The Matrix, but The Matrix attracted a neutral audience as well. That's why it was successful, because you didn't have to have this whole philosophical idea about a world that's different, but you could still enjoy it, and you could still enjoy the premise of it, because you have someone like Morpheus there who's guiding you through it. I think Said from Lost, I don't know his name in this show right now, but I'm guessing he's the Morpheus character. Jonas, yeah, I'm guessing he's the character who's supposed to guide us through, but he's still talking in riddles to me. He's not giving me enough to draw me in as much as even if I'm just a neutral fan of the show, and that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for you to spoon-feed me the idea, just to give me something that can continue for me from episode to episode. Episode 3 and 4 is a little bit better, trust me. It's just episode 2, I'm thinking, all right, I'm in because of the premise is really intriguing. Now I'm just watching all these flashback scenes and seeing glimpses of them linking together, but no real structure of it.
My question is, do all Indian weddings feature Bollywood numbers?
Yes.
So I'm going to.
Or is Tina Desai, after doing Second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, like, oh, fuck, another one of these? I'm just curious about how that plays out for real in South Asia.
That was a great scene as well. It was a lot of fun, and it was a nice change. And it kind of I don't want to go skip ahead, but it goes along with I think it's the end of episode 4. The way everything's so serious and so dark, but then in the switch of one nice song or one Bollywood dance scene, it brings you back to reality and it gets you that way that you can start to relate to the characters more.
I think it's interesting the way that this episode is starting to seed some things that I think we're all a couple episodes ahead of this one by the time we're reviewing this particular episode. It's starting to seed some things that will be important later. We're starting to get a sense of everyone's skill set. Mm-hmm. The cop, he can break out of handcuffs really easily. I wonder if that'll be important later. Nomi is a hacker. What? I wonder if anyone's going to need to be a hacker someday.
Well, that's mentioned in the first episode, actually, but yeah.
Okay, totally. But yeah, it's going to be like, I'm just curious what everyone's special ability is. Like, someone's got, shit, I don't know how to drive a bus.
Yeah.
Wait.
What is Riley's special power besides dropping sick beats?
Dropping sick beats?
That's pretty sick. That's a great power.
Drop some sick beats for us right now. Let's see how we do.
She may have. We may still be figuring out.
She
what
might be a more classically trained musician that might be useful. I don't know. I don't know what our who's the actress who plays the Indian woman?
Tina Desai.
Tina Desai. I don't know what her skill set is either. I assume she's got to have something.
She can tell the difference between counterfeit drugs and real drugs, which is for the guy who has that problem. Maybe. I don't know.
A rich tapestry.
See how we're all at the edge of our seats.
Isn't it amazing what happens if we all work together? That's the message of Sense8. That's the magic of Sense8.
Oh, I'm with you. I think 3 and 4 are maybe a little more dramatically satisfying, but there was nothing in this one that made me impatient because I think that the Wachowskis and Straczynski are very much cognizant of the canvas they have here. They have this 13 hours on Netflix that people can binge watch it if they want to. They can watch more than one at a time. So it's not like I mean, it's funny. We were just talking about how Hannibal, like, how's this show even on the air? You know, like there's episodes where no actual dramatic thing is happening, but it's all internal.
Yeah.
They're operating under a way of like, we don't have to have enough in this episode to ensure that people are going to tune in next week. You know, like that. That's
Also,
so
there's
I
the
think,
binge sensibility, the idea
Right.
that people are probably going to take in 2 or 3 episodes at a time, and
Exactly.
you don't need each individual one to operate.
That's what
as a
what
group.
I was saying.
Okay.
So
I just want to make it clear.
I said the word binge. So yeah,
Okay.
so I think that we're going to see a different kind of serialized storytelling in these Netflix shows, where as opposed to traditional television, which is kind of like the Dickens model, let's say, you know, like having to keep them coming back for the next one.
Yeah.
These are novels, really. I mean, these are novels with chapters that even if the last one doesn't end in a way that's like, oh, what next? You know, that next one is just sitting right there, and you're going to go dig into it anyway.
I admire
if there's
the-
something else that's getting you into it.
I admire the ambition of that. You know, Francis, I hear what you're saying about how you want to give us something a little bit firmer to grasp a hold of early on, like to just sort of a hand across the aisle to people who might be watching more casually. I totally get that. You're right. But at the same time, I do admire that there are filmmakers and storytellers who are taking advantage of very mainstream artistic mediums to tell very complex novelistic stories that don't hold your hand and do challenge you to try to stick with it. And I hope people do, because the more I watch of the show, the more rewarded I am by it. I mean, even so something like more Netflix type stuff like Peaky Blinders took me like 4 episodes to figure out what the
Amazing
hell was
show.
going on, though. Like, who is everyone? I don't even know. Sense8's rather the same way. The more I watch it, the more I consume of it, the more invested. And honestly, I feel like I'm getting something out of it that's genuinely very rich and thoughtful and interesting.
I'm just impressed that a show can get away with 8 lead characters. That's
Well, technically more, because then they have love interests.
well, right. But I mean, but just to have a core of 8 that's a lot of people to introduce and a lot of exposition and narrative and all that stuff to do. So, all right, join us momentarily. We'll be back with episode 3.